Hey there, YouTube family. This is Josh Nichols with Stocks with Josh. And today we're going to be looking at the broader crypto market. Is it time to put new money into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the altcoins? But before we begin, please hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. And remember that I will never contact you in the comment sections to send me money. Avoid those WhatsApp scammers. So hey, let's jump in and look at some top news stories. So I want to take us back a little bit in time and look at the year January 17th, 2020, right? And I just want to point out that at this time, Bitcoin was at $8,700. And you know, a lot of people are like, hey, why are we looking at Bitcoin? We are always going to be looking at Bitcoin because it affects all the stocks, right? So as far as Bitcoin can go up, that sort of sends a signal to the rest of the crypto market. And the way that it works is typically Ethereum and the alts follow the Bitcoin move. Some people have even speculated as to the time frame. If Bitcoin goes up and it moves, about an hour later, Ethereum tends to pop. And there are people who literally trade watching what Bitcoin does to enter a position for Ethereum and likewise. And so, yes, it's important for us to keep an eye on Bitcoin as a whole, right? And I just want to point out that this was just January 17th of 2020. We're looking at barely 2 years ago, and Bitcoin was $8,700, right? And we hit a high of 69,000, right, in this last bullish run that we've had. But back then, here we have, you know, the bull of Wall Street being identified as, and this question about Bitcoin, right? And it says right here, there remains doubts on whether the retail market will react similar to the previous halving periods or take a completely different route. Okay, so then we all know what's happened, right? We've absolutely gone ballistic in Bitcoin. And so much so that it is really changing the economies and markets all across the world. This last week, Miami gets futuristic Bitcoin bull. Wall Street is coming to South Florida. Miami is now getting its very own charging bull statue, reminiscent of the iconic one in the heart of New York City. You know, I want to point out what the word reminiscent means. It's almost similar to remember when. Remember when the strength of the world was in New York City, right? And there are people taking claim, people that have jumped into the crypto space that are literally saying, hey, you know, the old system of economies and commerce is changing, and whoever's getting on board with this new system, right, is going to control commerce in the future. So the new statue includes glowing laser eyes, which are often used by crypto enthusiasts on social media. This here points to me about the crowd and the audience. This is you guys. This is the retail investor that's on social media, right? They're the ones who are controlling this new move and wave of money. So Miami, Florida Mayor Francis Suarez was there for the unveiling of the 11-foot, 3,000-pound statue on Wednesday and said the future of finance is in Miami. You are going to be the aggregation of capital center of the world and deployer of capital center of the world, Suarez says, right? So, and bam, right? I want to point out that not only is the potential capital, is Bitcoin changing where the potential headquarters of money is being made and how it's being made, but it's also catching the eye of the world's billionaires. Here is a top story that shows in just 1 year, the number of crypto billionaires has surged by 60%, who was included on Forbes' annual list. So just in a nutshell, billionaires in this particular space have almost doubled. They went from 12 to about 19 billionaires in just the last year alone. So when Wall Street 2 years ago was questioning whether Bitcoin continued to have legs to run, this space has produced almost double the amount of billionaires who have invested in crypto in just the last 2 years. There are now 19 billionaires on the crypto rich list, as 7 more executives and founders join the ranks of the industry's watch list. Forbes' list of crypto billionaires has been revised, and the number of individuals who have amassed enormous fortunes through digital assets has risen significantly. The crypto elite list currently includes 19 billionaires, 7 more than last year, and a 58% increase over the previous year. So how is this relevant to us? You're like, Josh, I'm not a billionaire. Why do the wealth of billionaires matter to us? Well, I'm going to tell you that what it is showing you is that it is drawing the attention of the world's wealthiest people. And what we're going to look at is adoption, right? And how does adoption affect you personally? So let's continue to dive in. I also want to point out another major event, that India pulls an about face on crypto, right? India has the 3rd largest economy for purchasing power in the entire world. We obviously refer to it as the emerging market, right? And if they could have, they have a different, economy and legislation than the U.S. does, and a little bit more restricted. And they were bearish on crypto for a long time. And so their approach was to kind of slow it down, control it, and attempt to regulate it, or ban it outright, right? And so this is actually a major milestone. It just shows you how fast that new crypto bull is running. It's running so fast that here is one of the 3rd largest purchasing powers in the world. They tried to get ahead of it and stop it. Now they've done an about face, and they're trying to catch up to it to try to tax it and regulate it. But that actually is a positive signal. We see here that one of the top exchanges in India, imposing the tax rate makes crypto trading official now, and any concern of a ban is off the table. So this is just showing you that the countries in the world are not able to even get ahead of this. The banks are not able to get ahead of this. It is really about just jumping in. And that's where these next couple slides are going to go. So I'm going to just touch one more top news story, which was billionaire sailor's MicroStrategy takes on $205 million loan to buy more Bitcoin. And again, you might ask, why is that important to me? It is another monumental news story for the crypto space. It is basically showing that traditional banking has accepted Bitcoin as collateral. So things that have been used for collateral in the past, you've had to have hard cash that you're putting up. Normally you're putting up, you could be putting up gold, you could be putting up assets to a company, or real estate is probably the largest collateral that's used for loans in the US. Real estate has traditionally and continues to create more millionaires than any other form of investment globally, right? And so what this article points out to me is that we now have an established pattern where banks are recognizing Bitcoin and possibly other cryptos soon as essentially a digital asset, a digital real estate. MicroStrategy, the data analytics firm helmed by billionaire cryptocurrency bull Michael Saylor, announced Tuesday that one of its subsidiaries has taken on a $205 million loan to buy more Bitcoin and is using the cryptocurrency as collateral, again doubling down on its unprecedented commitment to the world's largest cryptocurrency as the nascent market stages a turnaround. So this entire presentation that I'm going to be focusing on is about adoption, right? And it actually got me thinking, because Larry and I were at a barbecue this last weekend with Ron, another one of our friends, at his house, and with some of his family. And one of the guys there, we inevitably started talking about investments and crypto and what was going on in the world. And one of the guys there, a very nice guy, had mentioned that that he was sort of done. Like, you know, he had put some money into crypto. He had put enough money in, and he was content with his investment. And that really, you know, that really kind of stuck into my brain and my mind for a little while. And I started to think about it. And at the end of our time together, I kind of asked him, how come, right? And you know, the adoption of cryptocurrency is really just beginning, okay? And if any of us, and I'm going to compare here next, the adoption of cryptocurrency to the adoption of the internet, right? And his remark struck me in this way, that if we could have gone back in time into like mid 1990s or early 1990s and said, hey, you know, I'm done with the internet. I'm content with the investment that I have in it here in 1991, 92. You know, I remember playing Pong as a kid. A lot of you might not even know what that is, but it's where a single white ball bounces between, you know, two moving objects, right? And the goal is to keep it from bouncing side to side, right? And I could never have imagined, you know, it'd be like if I were to say, this is great, I've played this game, I've done all that I can do, I did a dial-up, I went to a website, and I'm content, right? Little did any of us know that the adoption of the internet would have changed all of our lives. We're all carrying around smartphones. I'm talking to you right now on YouTube, which didn't even exist back then. So the internet had not even begun. And I'm going to suggest to you that that's where we're at in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And the biggest winners, you see the billionaires are taking their positions, and it's getting more wealthy people's notice, which is just going to further drive that adoption. And, you know, and here's the thing. My heart is that you don't get left behind, right? And so that's what we're driving at right here. This is how it affects you. What is your vision of this? Did you take a position in crypto and get burnt, right? I have another friend of mine at Staples, and I was talking to her. Her name is Colleen, and she had mentioned that her son-in-law had encouraged her to invest for the first time. So she got a Coinbase account. She dropped $1,000 into shib. And unfortunately, that was at the top. It was when shib was quad 88. And since then, that investment's come down below $400. And so it would be very easy for her to also say, hey, man, I took a stab at it. I jumped in, I made a decision, and my investments are terribly down. But the next couple of charts, I think, are the ones that are going to inspire you. So we have crypto users compared to total internet users, right? And I just want you to look at these percentages. And remember, charts are not meant to be scary. I'm going to break this down for you. It's meant to be a picture. It's meant to be an illustration to give you a clear understanding of where things are going. So the lower white line here represents internet users, okay? This is internet users in the first 5 years of the internet. And that grew by 76%, which was at that time the largest adoption of a technology in the history of man, right? Compared to other types of technologies. Now, the orange bar above shows at a different time frame how crypto has been adopted. And this is why people say that crypto has been adopted faster than any other technology, right? In that exact same first 5-year period, we have 137% adoption and growth of crypto, right? And so the question that we're going to be looking at is, where do we go from here? Well, the internet went in the following 5 years, it grew by 43% and ultimately produced 500 million users in its first 10 years. If Bitcoin and the crypto market follows a similar suit, we'd be looking at an additional 43% growth, which would produce 1.2 billion users. All right. So how do we use this to our benefit? What does this mean for us? Okay. What I'm pointing to you guys to is that we are still in a time of adoption, right? And we're going to take a step here to the next chart. If we continue at this pace to 1.2 billion, that is if we don't take into consideration how much faster crypto is being adopted than the internet. But if we actually take that into consideration, it means that the next 5 years, we're going to see a minimum of a 76% adoption, right? Which would put us in a total of a 10-year period at roughly 3 billion users. And so I want to use these percentages to look with you guys at how can this affect us. So I'm going to jump out of this and I'm going to go over to you can find this investment return calculator on nerdwallet.com. It's free. I did set up an account so that I could do this. And I'm just going to show you what some very small sums of money would look like if they were invested right now and at different percentages that we just looked at the overall growth of the crypto space. And what this takes into consideration is really just buying like the top 5 cryptos or even just Bitcoin, right? Now we've already seen, Larry and I point out to you guys all the time that, you know, other plays that are moving much faster like Solana have much more potential to 1x, 2x, 3x, or potentially 4x in the next 2 to 3 years. But I wanted to show you guys, if all you did was just put $25 a week into crypto, $1,200 a year, what you could expect. And I think the problem is that sometimes people don't hone in on a specific plan. And so they sort of jumping around, following different folks. And they can make the mistake like my friend did, who put in $1,000 of SHIB at the wrong time. It goes down, and then they walk away saying, "Hey, I'm not getting this. I'm not able to figure it out. I don't understand it." And I'm telling you, you don't have to understand each and every coin. I want you to understand the total space and what you could gain from it and how it could change your life. Okay, so hey, let's look at this investment calculator. So I'm going to just throw in the way this investment calculator works. It's not going to really help us to see things like compounding interest, but I'm going to throw in like if we were to do $25 a week, $100 a month, so $1,200 for a year. And we're going to put that contribution in at the beginning of every year. So we're not even doing or receiving the benefits of monthly investment or weekly investment. It's literally as if we just dropped a new $1,200 each and every year. We'll pull our years to growth back to 5. Okay, and we're going to throw in our expected rate of return. So I'm going to start off with the expected rate of, I'm going to throw in that we're also going to put in a new $1,200 each year. And we're going to put our expected rate of return in at what the minimum of crypto's adoption would look like if it mirrored the internet. But we've already seen that it's not mirrored the internet, it's grown much faster. And what do we get? We get $27,000. So I just want to take a step back and say that you can have lots of investment plans to make all sorts of different amounts of money. But I'd like you to consider looking at a starting point of investment, a single plan that you continue to work. Very similar to Larry's $5 million cup of coffee, which just challenges people to look at the big picture over time. So, hey, but let's look if we actually exceed what the internet, growth of the internet was, okay? So in this scenario, I'm going to throw in what the actual growth of crypto was, which was around 173%. If we had been putting that $25 a week investment in, we calculate that now. If we had been doing that at the beginning of the crypto move, your investment would be $500,000, okay? Which is just mind-boggling because all you're talking about putting in is just $25 a week. And so you say, Josh, that's awesome. I didn't do it. I missed the Bitcoin run. I missed everything. So where are we at now? What I want you to see with those earlier charts is that we are absolutely, you don't want to be like the guy in 1992 that said, I've gotten everything I can get out of the internet. I've done everything I can do. I bought a little SHIB. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin. I'm going to walk away and see where that leads. I want you to look at it from a big picture, dollar cost average perspective. I want you to consider working a single plan of investment. Now, if you begin to prosper and you can afford more money and you can begin to put down more and take other investment risks, that's fine. But right now, consider just doing an incremental investment and see where that leads. So let's look at a couple other scenarios, okay? So more modestly, I want to go back and look at what the projected percentage would be. So this percentage of 72% means that even right now, you have the potential of making, with $1,200 investment made, which would be 25 bucks a week or 100 bucks a month, done just once a month into the overall broad market of crypto, at a 72% return, which means that you're not guessing the top or bottom. You're not looking at all the charts with me. You're not gaining the advantage of taking profits. You're just dollar cost averaging during this time frame. Okay, you have the potential of $58,351, right? And if that doesn't inspire you, I'm not sure what to tell you with a small investment that a lot of people can afford each week. And what I want to encourage you is just consider sticking with a single plan, right, as a basis point. And you can always build upon it, and you can grow. You can get into things like options, and you can get into ETFs. But I want to encourage you not to miss the crypto move, and I want to encourage you to be consistent with it. It's all about consistency. You're going to hear me say a lot that process over profits, because if you can refine your process and you can prove it to yourself, and some of you need to prove it to your wives or your husbands, you need to prove that you can do this, and that's done through consistency, through dollar cost averaging, and looking at the big picture and working a plan. So I hope that this was beneficial to you. I want to encourage you again to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell to continue to receive these types of insights. This is the part that I wanted you to find inspiring. My commitment is to bring encouragement, the knowledge that with some effort you can learn this, the knowledge by looking at charts and looking at the top news stories, and the inspiration to change your life. And I hope that we did that today. Don't forget, there's the links down below for Webull and for Moomoo. And I'm going to begin to show you trades in my accounts. Every time we go and do a technical, I'm going to show you how I'm doing it on those apps so you guys can follow along. So thank you so much. Be blessed.